In this video, we are going to be looking at probabilities of draws without replacement. Okay, so in our first problem, there are 8 women and 5 men with a chance to be on a game show. The producer of the show is going to choose 8 of these people at random to be the contestants. What is the probability that the producer chooses 6 women and 2 men? Round your answer to 3 decimal places. Okay, so I'm going to go through this one step at a time and we'll come back to this question at the end. So the first thing we're going to figure out is the number of ways to choose 6 women out of a total of 8. Okay, so we're going to use the choose function. Say we're going to have 8 choose 6. Okay, so 8 total, we're choosing 6 out of them. So how we write that is 8 factorial from here divided by 6 factorial and then 2 factorial, and the 2 factorial comes from the difference between this number and this number. So 8 minus 6 is 2. That's the reason we put a 2 here. So this number always goes on top, this number always goes first, and the difference between these two numbers goes here. Okay, and a factorial, like say 4 factorial, just for an example, is this 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, so if I have a 4 factorial on top and I have a 4 factorial on bottom, then those things could cancel out. Okay, so let's look at this one. So I see that I have a 6 factorial on bottom. So to do this, I'm going to rewrite this 8 factorial. Instead of 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 all the way down, I'm going to do 8 times 7. But then for the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm just going to put 6 factorial. And I'm doing that because it's going to cancel with what's on bottom there. So on bottom, we also have a 6 factorial and a 2 factorial, which is 2 times 1. Now what I can do here is reduce the 6 factorial out of this thing, like that, so it's gone. And that leaves us with 8 times 7 over 2 times 1. And then we could divide this number and this number by 2. So that goes away, and this turns into a 4. So we end up getting 4 times 7 on top, and the bottom is just going to be 1 now, 1 times 1, so it goes away, and that's 28. Okay, so our answer, the number of ways to choose 6 women out of a total of 8 women, there's 28 ways. Okay, now let's do the next part, the number of ways to choose 2 men out of a total of 5 men. Okay, so for that, it's going to be 5 choose 2. Okay, so this number is the top. It goes factorial on the top, so 5 factorial. And then this number goes here. And then the difference between these two numbers, 5 minus 2 is 3, goes here as a factorial. Okay, so again, I'm going to try to make this easier. I can do 5 times 4 times 3 factorial, where 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1. So I'm just not writing the rest of it out. And it's because it can cancel with this. It's on bottom, so I get 2 factorial, which I can write out as 2 times 1, and then just write down the 3 factorial so that we can cancel that term. Okay, so that leaves us with 5 times 4 over 2 times 1. And if we divide this by 2, we get a 1, and if we divide the 4 by 2, we get a 2. So that ends up being 5 times 2 on top, and on bottom, it's just 1 times 1, so it's gone, and we get 10. Okay, so now we have the number of ways to choose 2 men out of 5. 5 choose 2. Okay, so for C, multiply the answers from part A and part B to get the number of ways to choose 6 women and 2 men out of the total. So here are our 2 answers. So we'll multiply those 2 answers, 28 times 10, which is 280. Okay, so now that we have that information, now we know the number of ways to choose 6 women and 2 men out of the total. Now next it says the number of ways to choose 8 people from the total of 13. 8 from the total of 13, so that is 13 choose 8. 8 people from a total of 13, so 13 choose 8, which means the 13 factorial goes on top, the 8 factorial goes on bottom. Okay, and the difference of these, 13 minus 8 is 5, so 5 factorial goes there. I'm going to write the 13 as 13 times 12 times 11 times 10 times 9 times 8 factorial, because there's one on bottom and I can cancel it. So I'll stop there. And then I'll write this as 8 factorial. And then the 5, I'll just write out 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So the 8 factorial will cancel, okay? And there might be some other things I can cancel here, like 5 and 2. 5 times 2 is 10, right? 5 times 2 is 10. Well, we can cross out the 5 times 2 and cross out the 10 on top. Let's write out what we have left. So we have 13 times 12 times 11 times 9. And then we have on bottom 4 times 3 times 1. We don't even really need the 1. Okay, so if we notice that 4 times 3 is the same thing as 12, so the 12 can cancel out with a 4 times 3, which would leave a 1. So it's 13 times 11 times 9. And on bottom, you just have 1 and 1. So that's gone. And then 13 times 9, or times 11 times 9. Let's do that in the calculator real quick. So 13 times 11 times 9. Okay, so that gives us 1,287. Okay, in the last step of this, divide the number of ways to choose 6 women and 2 men. That's what we found in part C, so that's 280. Okay, and on bottom, the number of ways to choose 8 people out of 13. That's what we just found here. So on bottom, we have 1287. Okay, we divide that and round to 3 decimal places. So 280 divided by 1287, round to 3 decimal places, and you get 0.21, and the 7 goes up to an 8 because of this 5. So 218. So there's the probability, 0.218 out of a total of 1. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, similar problem. There are 6 women and 7 men with a chance to be on a game show. The producer of the show is going to choose 7 of these people at random to be the contestants. What is the probability that the producer chooses 4 women and 3 men? Round your answer to 3 decimal places. Okay, so we're going to go through it the same way we did before. First, the number of ways to choose 4 women out of 6 total is 4, choose 6. Oh, excuse me, I wrote that backwards. It's 6, choose 4. We have 6 total, we'll choose 4 of them. Okay, so that's 6 factorial on top, and then 4 factorial on bottom, and then the difference between these two is 2, so 2 factorial. On top, I'll do this one a different way, just to give another way to do this. So on top, let me just write out the whole factorial. 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 divided by 4 factorial is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and 2 factorial is 2 times 1. Okay, so let's see what we can cancel out. The 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s. Let's see, this 2, we can take care of that in the next step. So 6 times 5 on top, and then 2 times 1 are just 2 on bottom. You could put the 1 there if you want it. Okay, and then if we divide these two numbers by 2, this turns into a 1, and this turns into a 3. So we get 3 times 5 on top, and a 1 on bottom, so 15. So the number of ways to choose 4 women out of 6 is 15 ways. Okay. Next, the number of ways to choose 3 men out of 7. Okay, so that will be 7, choose 3. So the 7 factorial will go on top, the 3 factorial will go on bottom, and the difference between these two, 7 minus 3 is 4, so 4 factorial goes here. Okay, so that'd be 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 divided by 3 times 2 times 1 for this one, and 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 for that one. Let's see what cancels out. The 1's gone, the 2's gone, the 3's gone, the 4's gone. This 3 and 2, 3 times 2 is 6, so we can get rid of that and get rid of the 6. So everything on bottom is gone, and on top we just have, what's left? 7 and a 5, and 7 times 5 is 35. So there are 35 ways of choosing 3 men out of a total of 7. So C says multiply your answers from A and B to get the number of ways to choose 4 women and 3 men. So we'll multiply our 2 last answers. It was 15 and 35. So 15 times 35. Okay, let's put that in our calculator, see what we get. 15 times 35, 525. Okay. Now for the last question before we can write down our answer on E. The number of ways to choose 7 people from a total of 13. So that's 13, choose 7. Okay, so a 13 factorial goes on top, and then we have 7 factorial on bottom, and the difference between these two is 6, so 6 factorial goes here. Okay, and this time I am going to do it the shorter way, so I'm going to stop writing at the 7 factorial. So let's write this 13 out. 13 times 12 times 11 times 10 times 9 times 8, and then I'm going to just write a 7 factorial instead of writing 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then on bottom, we can just keep that as a 7 factorial because it's going to cancel here. And then the 6 will be 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, we cancel out the 7 factorial. Okay, and let's see what else we can cancel out. 4 times 3 is 12. So 4 and 3 can cancel out that 12 there. 5 times 2 is 10. So 5 and 2 can cancel for this 10. And let's see, we have 6. Well, let's go ahead and write out what we have left. So we have 13, we have an 11, we have a 9 and an 8, and then we have just a 6. Okay, so 6 we could divide it by 3. Divide it by 3, you get a 2. Divide this one by 3, you get a 3. And then the 2 and the 8 can reduce. Divide it by 2, you get a 1. Divide this one by 2, you get a 4. Okay, so what's left is 13 times 11 times 3 times 4. Let's go to our calculator. 13 times 11 times 3 times 4. Okay, 1716. Okay, so that will be the answer here. Okay, and now to get our last answer, the number of ways to choose 4 women and 3 men. That was part C. It's 525. And then on bottom, we have the number of ways to choose 7 people from a total of 13, which is this answer. So 1716. And it wants it as a decimal, so let's type that in. 525 divided by 1716. And we get 0.306, it looks like, because you have to round up. This is the third decimal place, so we'll round up. So 0.306, 0.306 is our answer. And that's it.